I'm Katya, and this is Neela right here in the pink. So you're going to hear from her in just a second. So thank you for having us today. My name is Katya Miller, and my daughter is Neela Miller. We are the Miller family: Eric and Katya, Neela, Marlena, and Cameron. As a family, we've been searching for answers to Neela's flank pain for many years. Throughout her childhood, Neela was seen by dozens of times by nephrology, GI, and urology. Year after year, we kept looking and asking for help. We begged for answers, yet no one knew what this was. Then this March, just before her 18th birthday, we received the answer. Just 8 months ago, after a lifetime of looking, we finally had the diagnosis that we needed. To understand the extent of our feelings and experience, I'd like to backtrack a bit and tell you a little bit about Neela. Neela was a very busy child. She grew up running around the neighborhood with friends, swimming in the ocean every summer, competing in gymnastics, and playing competitive soccer. She was petite, strong, fast, and determined, and the coaches loved having her on their teams. She played viola, tinkered on my piano, and did all the kinds of things that a child should be doing. She would spend the days rollerblading through the house, cooking alongside her sister, and doing backflips on the mat in the front yard. As a family, we even joked saying that we knew she would be busy and full of life because even in utero, it felt like a party in my belly. She was full of life, radiant, and happy as a little girl. At some point around the age of 3 or 4, things began to change, and Neela began to complain of flank pain. Throughout the years, we went to many appointments, saw many specialists, and yet were told that nothing was wrong, that it was all in her head, that she just pulled a muscle, that she was a girl with girl problems, or that she was just the kind of kid that complained. Knowing Neela, we knew that not to be true, but answers were not available, and years went by. In the summer of 22, the pain became a true problem. Neela lost 30 pounds, became withdrawn, tired, depressed, heartbroken, and stagnant. All outside hobbies went by the wayside. She could no longer do gymnastics because it hurt. She stopped playing soccer because it was too hard, and school became unbearable as she couldn't make it through the day. Neela was placed on medical homebound, and when that year came to an end, she was no better. In fact, she was worse. We pulled her from the brick and mortar school, and she attended school virtually. Even with this, it was hard for her to think, concentrate, have the energy to complete her work, or do much at all. And we watched our bright and beautiful daughter fade into her pain, become a recluse, and lose all interest in life. Things were becoming very scary, and still we had no answers. We begged doctors to listen, to hear what Neela was saying, to hear what we didn't know how to explain because we don't have a medical background, and to hear the heartbreak from a child who felt that no one was listening simply because she was a kid. We consulted Le Bonheur, UT, and Vanderbilt, and yet we had no answers. Our family was lost, scared, and heartbroken. It wasn't until we had a chance encounter with a nurse from Le Bonheur that we found our answer. Honestly, we thought she was a young doctor just out of school, and having already seen so many doctors with white hair, we thought that her youth might just be what we needed. We told her of our struggles, frustrations, hopes, fears, and needs, and she listened. Kristen Jones, a Le Bonheur CPNP AC gastro nurse, used her education, applied her knowledge, and studies Neela's file. For the first time in 17 years, Neela had a medical professional say to her, "I hear you, Neela. I'm sorry this is happening to you, and I will do what I can to help." Kristen was the first person to take personal responsibility for Neela's care. This one decision that Kristen made changed our lives forever. She took the time to study Neela's case and review years of summary notes and diagnostic results. After reviewing her case, Kristen requested a CT scan and found the answer. It was Nutcracker syndrome. Thank you, Kristen. You did it. With this diagnosis came more testing, and Neela soon met Aprecia Stewart. a wonderful Le Bonheur pediatric sonographer. After years of waiting to be heard, Aprecia was an angel sent to Neela. She sat and listened to Neela, spent time talking to her about her journey, and made Neela feel valued, heard, cared for, and attended to. I was surprised at how comfortable Neela was with Aprecia because she was usually very reserved, skeptical, and afraid to hope after being so easily dismissed for so long. When I told Aprecia that her test results were to be submitted to a specialized program for Nutcracker evaluation, she immediately responded by talking to the lead radiologist, asking questions, doing more scans, and ensuring that together they did everything they could to provide the best possible test results so that we would have what we needed. Aprecia made calls to ensure that we would not leave without a disc, and even ran out to meet the nurse from across the street at the hospital to get the disc. She took her time, pampered Neela, and answered my questions. Because Aprecia was so dedicated to her work, the Le Bonheur team was able to work together to provide undeniable truth that it was indeed Nutcracker syndrome and a very significant case of it. From the moment we met Kristen and Aprecia, they made Neela feel heard. They both listened to Neela and to me. When I said that we had been seeking answers for many years and needed someone to care enough to review Neela's file, study it as a case study, put the pieces together like a puzzle, and help us find the answers to this debilitating condition, they did. Because both Kristen and Aprecia took the time to listen to a child and her mother, our family finally had answers. Once we received the diagnosis of Nutcracker syndrome, I began to research and hoped to find a place where Neela could have the long-awaited surgery that she needed. We learned the ins and outs of Nutcracker and its rare condition. We also learned that even though Nutcracker was rare, Neela's specific condition was even more rare than that. We were facing something that even the Nutcracker specialists had not seen before. We quickly learned that we were going to need a vascular surgeon to rebuild Neela's renal vein. With this knowledge and having met Dr. Erica Mitchell through previous testing, we felt completely confident in her knowledge and experience. So we decided it best to stay in Memphis to have the surgery here at Le Bonheur and be near family and friends, as well as the local doctors and surgeons. Once the procedure was scheduled, we were prepared for a long surgery with a long, hard recovery. We had planned for a much more complicated and invasive surgery, yet Dr. Mitchell was able to repair the renal vein and drop it into Neela's abdomen in record time. We were absolutely stunned. Wow, Dr. Mitchell, you're a rock star. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Bott, and the team were able to help Neela in a way that we'd only been dreaming of. Neela's surgery was completed on a Friday. 2 days later, she was eating, and by Tuesday, she was sent home with only Tylenol and ibuprofen. Our brave little zebra was flourishing. In less than a week's time, Neela was up walking, talking, smiling, and laughing with family and friends, feeling better than she had in many years. Dr. Mitchell, her amazing team at UT, and the wonderful team of professionals here at Le Bonheur provided the renal vein transposition surgery that saved our daughter's life. Dr. Mitchell gave us our daughter back. Not only did she provide great care during Neela's time at the hospital, but she's also always been willing to answer my emails and my questions, no matter the time of day or night. She is not only a wonderful surgeon, but a truly caring and dedicated person as well. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. So, as a family, we would like to say a very big thank you to Le Bonheur and to UT for what you've done for our Neela. Thank you for giving us a medical miracle. Thank you for giving us our daughter back. With that said, I'd like to leave you with one of my favorite quotes that I think applies to our experience here at Le Bonheur. They may forget what you did, and they may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Thank you.
Hello. This is way out of my comfort zone, but that's okay. It's nice to see everybody. Hello, my name is Neela D. Miller. I'm 18. In 2022, I frequently began feeling chronic pain. Um, my family and I immediately began searching for the root cause, knowing there wasn't any effective relief for that intolerable symptom. We originally went to nephrology with the lab work with the knowledge that I was diagnosed with hydronephrosis after birth. After loads of procedures, scans, lab work, spontaneous ER visits, and appointments all around different parts of the hospital, we finally had enough information to make my medical history book. My mother gathered every single piece of paperwork from every doctor's visit from the time I was born and gave it to gastro nurse practitioner Kristen Jones. Kristen ordered me to have a CT scan, and she found my Nutcracker syndrome in March of 2024. Nutcracker syndrome is the compression of the left renal vein between the abdominal aorta and superior mesenteric artery. August 16th of 2024, I had a renal vein transposition and immediately flourished. My surgeon, Dr. Erica Mitchell, and her team did wonderfully. Every nurse from my stay at Le Bonheur was sincere and caring, making my healing process free from any stress or unnecessary pain. My quick recovery showcased my body's true resilience, but somehow I managed to make it back in the emergency room exactly 1 month later, September 17th, where I then had my first nephrostomy tube placed, where I learned more about my kidney's obstruction and how my body had also been fighting off kidney infection. With antibiotics in use, I was scheduled for surgery November 20th, but inconveniently, I spiked fever the night before and made my way to the emergency room. We then waited to learn more about the status of my infection and had to cancel surgery for the following morning after learning my white blood cell count had tripled. While I got comfortable and labs were finding the most effective antibiotics for this stubborn infection, we found my new date for surgery. On December 18th, I plan to have a pyeloplasty, allowing this problematic experience to just be a couple steps away from solved. I've had such a well advocating family, and I don't think I ever would have completed surgery today if it weren't for my mother and the dedicated effort she's made for me and my doctor's intelligence and actions. I cherish those who have made this experience a major achievement, and I am forever thankful for Le Bonheur and how they're able to advocate for their patients while providing comfort and clarity. Lastly, I'll say, continue being an advocate for your patients since not everyone has a support system like mine. On days that leave you feeling discouraged, having to show up to appointments with slow to no progress, it can still be refreshing knowing that knowledgeable and dedicated individuals are rooting for us. I have had negative experience coming from healthcare professionals, and to those, consider my silence a gift. To those who have helped me, I am grateful to have been cared for by many within Le Bonheur, and I appreciate each person for showing up and pushing me closer to my healthiest self, where I will soon reach and get back on my designated path. Thank you.